Hello viewers and potential subscribers, you are watching Unknown Emerald and I haven't uploaded in about 2 years, but never mind that, let's get to the video. So as you may already know from the title, I have been working on something pretty big for my standards. I've been making a Destiny 2 suit of armor made out of steel. Well, primarily steel, there's some foam in there, there's some aluminum and all of that, but you know, primarily steel. And I started with the ACD feedback fence. Now in Destiny 2 it's not the greatest exotic to use in PvP or PvE, but from the aesthetic point of view I fell in love with it. I think it looks gorgeous, and here it is. Oh god, this has been quite a journey of how I made it. It is probably one of my favorite things I've ever made in my life, and to be honest, I've never worked with this kind of steel before. I've never really worked with metal to that scale before, so it has been quite a challenge in actually making it in the first place. I didn't do any welding because I'm, number one, scared of welders. I'm very scared of high temperatures. Everyone has their own fears, right? And number two, I didn't have a facility to actually use a welder in. All I have is my room and my back garden, which are not the greatest places to use a welder at. And the only way other than using a welder was to use screws and bolts, and a lot of them. I average at the end of this costume I'm going to have used about 400 to 500 screws and bolts. Yeah, it's gonna be quite a journey, but I wanted to make a video showcasing my progress so far, so here it is. These are the ACDO feedback fans, and as you can see I have used different kind of shader. I don't know what shader this is, I haven't unlocked it in the actual game yet, but I've seen a concept art of this online and I just fell in love with it and I had to make it. Of course I'm gonna make the full costume with the same color scheme, and it's gonna be really great. And the best thing about this, you may have already guessed it, but it lights up. Not sure if you can see it over here. I'm definitely gonna be uploading some video footage or pictures over the top of this video just to show you guys what it looks like in nighttime. Oh god, this is so awesome, so great. And as I mentioned before, I don't want to be using welding in this, so the whole thing from top to bottom is going to be made, well, held together with bolts and screws. And in itself, I think that's a really cool concept, because it makes sense that you're kind of bolted into the suit of armor. It gives it like your own signature in a way. And since I've never worked with metal before, this is going to be a challenge. Well, it's already been a challenge. I don't think it's going to get any more difficult than this. Now, it all started with this tiny little triangle over here. I had to cut 56 different size triangles for this project. I'm never going to be cutting another triangle in my life. I had to cut them, sand them all down, paint them, assemble them. It was a nightmare, but I'm very proud of what I've achieved at the very end. So this has been the front section of the arm. Now I want to show you the shoulder piece. So the shoulder piece, once again, lights up. I'm so proud of this. This is probably the most proud I've ever been of any pieces of my work in the past, because mainly I've not worked with metal to this scale, and to be able to make something like this in my first try, you don't know how amazed I am by this, that I haven't messed this up in one way or another. Now every single one of the triangles that I have cut out has a nice little pattern to it with tiny smaller triangles painted onto them, and the way I achieved that was with this stencil. So what I would do is I would take a triangle, I'll paint one triangle one color and then the other one a different color, and once they were dry I would place this over that triangle and use a slightly different shade of spray paint, and what that would give me is the end result, as you can see over here. Now for the actual lights themselves, I use something called a luminescent neon strip, which is a piece of LED tube that leads itself all the way through the gauntlet and the shoulder piece. And with the gauntlet I was able to put the battery pack to it at the back over here. Just turn it on, lights up, turn it off. And with the shoulder piece I actually had to make something different, and I'm gonna do a little bit of a zoom over here. So I have a battery pack holder at the back over here, and once again turn it on, lights up, turn itself off. And I used foam. Of course I had to use foam to separate my skin from the actual steel. I didn't want to have any metal brushing against my clothes or anything, and a piece of foam is more than great for that. And also, since I'm using bolts and screws, I didn't want to like pinch myself with screws all over my body, so having a thin layer of foam between the steel and my actual flesh was a pretty good idea. It worked very well. I don't feel any of the screws when I wear it, so that's really great. Now what I have over here is actually a harness to hold the shoulder pieces together. As you can see, I used buckles that are pretty big as I didn't want the actual shoulders to wobble around. I wanted them to be sturdy as possible, preferably. And if I just take this shoulder piece over here, it has a buckle at the back. I hope you can see that. And it straps in and it stays in place. And the shoulder pieces are going to need some work. I'm going to be showing you guys a little bit of a movement test, I guess you can say. And as you can see, the shoulders are kind of like a little bit tight. They look squished in, so I need to rearrange that a little bit. I need to make some more space and kind of like figure that out in my future video. It's going to be fixed, don't worry. It looks a little bit dodgy now, but what can I say? It is what it is. Now what I did for the strap over here, I used tiny pieces of black leather wrapped around a piece of foam and kind of like made the little intersections, and had used a different color leather to hold them in place, and they are bolted down once again into this harness, and I think it came out really good so far. This is all the progress that I've made so far. Now this is probably going to be part 1 out of 3 or 4 parts, we'll see how it goes, and I'm going to be uploading a new video in maybe 2 months time, so do look forward to that. I hope you guys enjoyed this video as much as I enjoyed making these ACD feedback fence gauntlets and the shoulder pieces. Next up, probably the chest and possibly the helmet, we'll see how it goes, and until I do that, I will see you guys next time, so see you.